Let's just do this. Doesn't that sound more mean than this? Now, we can hear that it sounds meaner, but we want to understand why it sounds meaner, so that when we understand the why, we can then reapply the principle to other situations and not just realize that when you're playing an arpeggio, if you hit it twice, it'll sound meaner. Right? We don't want to just take one concept and then repeat it whenever the situation is the same. We want to take the principle and be able to apply it in any instance. Anyone just guess, what is it about this that makes it sound meaner than just doing it once? And I'll just give you a hint. The answer is not that there's more notes.
But your ear gets more opportunity to hear it?
I mean the repetition of the notes?
Yeah. Just
Not,
stands out more?
it stands out more, that's for sure.
Because you are repeating that statement from the highest notes like a mini sequence. You sequence just that part, sort of, no?
Yes, it's like a mini sequence.
Like, it grabs more attention.
Does that have anything to do with the pitch function of the notes? The E note being on top there?
It's not so much about pitch function. That only if the pitch function changes because the chord would have happened to have changed in that moment, then it would be a factor. But if the chord is the same, that's not really the issue. Trotter.
It's the rhythm.
Yeah, what about the rhythm?
When you're playing the original phrase, you're just playing 16 times. But when you re-articulate that a little bit, that throws the rhythm out, and it just creates a little bit more interest in the listener.
Yes. Well, there's two parts of that. Rhythm is the first half of it.
Mm-hmm.
You can keep the rhythm the same. You can play them all still as 16th notes. You don't have to change the rhythm. Now you're just simply adding 2 more 16th notes to the length of the lick. Okay. Or you can play those really fast, faster than the other notes. You can double up on it, then it would be like 30-second notes. That would be actually changing the rhythm. But if we keep it as 16ths, which was pretty much what I was doing,
Yeah, that's what I meant.
yeah, then the rhythm isn't changing. We're just extending the phrase just by 2 notes.
Yeah.
But what's important here is where the accents fall.
That's what
Okay.
I meant.
All right. So if we were playing to a drum beat, right, and the bass drum is hitting this, and the snare is there, it would be a really fast drum beat in that case. But if there's a hi-hat or anything going on, you know, where the beat and the measures are being divided. As we repeat it, this is the first part. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now that second accent is not on the beat. So 2 things happen. What usually happens on the beat? Stuff happens, right? Some other instruments are playing stuff. You hear something from the drums, the cymbal, a hi-hat, bass drum, the bass player is doing something. Maybe the chord is being articulated again by the guitars. You know, whatever. There are stuff happening usually on beats. But off the beats, typically there's less stuff. There's less rhythmic density. Less events are going on. So when you re-articulate it slightly off the beat, it stands out more because it's easier to cut through to hear. Okay, so within the texture, there's more to hear. Okay, now I want you to imagine that I'm not too lazy to get up and go stand over there at the whiteboard, and imagine that I had the pen in my hand and I drew a line that goes like this, an arc. Okay, and that arc simply represents the contour of the phrase, right? And even if we add Tommaso's original note, it's an arc that goes like this. Okay? There's a lower note, then a higher one, then a higher one, then a higher one, higher, 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 and then we get lower again, right? Just like this. Just a little arc. But when we repeat that highest note, we have to go back up to it, that totally breaks the texture. Okay? And that's the other big ingredient here that makes that stand out. Okay? So we have accents in places where accents don't normally occur. Syncopation. Okay? It's the technical term. And then the texture changes. Okay? When you hear, especially with arpeggios, sort of an inexperienced person who like learned how to sweep pick and then he learned how to do the arpeggios, but he hasn't really learned how to be creative with it. What do you hear all the time? Up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, right? That's what you hear. Because they just gotten it down and now they're all happy and proud of themselves and they just go up and down as fast as they can. And you hear all that all the time, right? But when that texture is broken, because you're now coming back to a high note or you're doing anything that other than this up and down thing, it catches your ear. Because it's a break in the pattern. It's a break in what the ear expects to hear. Okay? So it's a very, very cool thing. Let's take that same concept and apply it to another lick. Okay? So play this. Alright, so if we repeat this over again, just have a 6-note phrase. So this is cool, very simple, but cool. If you play it faster and faster, it starts to get a little cooler and cooler, right? And you can move it around, up and down the scale. You can do whatever you want with it, okay? But listen to this texture, which is basically a straight line down, right? Imagine in your mind or on that whiteboard, you're drawing a line. Before it was an arc, now it's a straight line down, right? This is what the listener expects to hear, especially if you repeat it. Take the same concept that we applied to Tommaso's arpeggio and repeat the first 2 notes. That's cooler. Does that sound a little meaner than this? Isn't that better? The texture has changed. We have that, those same elements still occur. We have the syncopation element, right? That note isn't expected to be there. Right? We don't expect that to happen there. So we have a strong accent because when you're playing it, you're naturally going to hit that note hard. Right? You're just going to beat the crap out of it because it sounds good. Right? Otherwise, if you just do this, you're all the same. Maybe you hit the first note harder or whatever, but if we do this is cool, there's nothing wrong with this. But this has more conviction in it. Even if I don't hit the notes any harder, I would tend to naturally hit these notes harder. But even if you don't, the texture itself makes it sound like it has more conviction. Okay? Same thing here. It sounds more convincing than this. I mean, this is also cool. One is not, I'm playing both at the same basic speed. I'm not playing one faster than the other, but basically the same, okay? There's more conviction in that.